George Floyd, what is his record? Does it matter? Me personally, I think if you spend some time in prison, you make a mistake, I'm a big believer that society should forgive you. I believe in second chances. I don't know that I believe in third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth chances. So I wanted to show you guys what the media has not been reporting on. You can say this is not a value, but I'm going to tell you why it is a value. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. 1998. George Floyd spent his first prison stint 10 months for theft with a firearm. Okay, I believe in second chances, and 1998 is a very long time ago. Again, 4 years later, in 2002, he spent 8 months in prison for a cocaine offense. Different offense. We're talking about a drug offense. Okay, you can say that was another mistake. But then 2 years later, he spends another 10 months for a cocaine offense. I guess just another mistake. 2005, he spends another 10 months for a cocaine offense. This time, they stipulated that he had less than 1 gram, and he went back to prison. Now, the most important crime that he committed is the one that he spent prison time for, a 5 years for, pardon, in prison. And I want to paint this picture because this is what makes me feel disgusted in Black America, because we are so willing to let Black victims who are victims of Black crime, we have no defense for them. Black on Black crime, we don't care about. Imagine you are a pregnant woman, because this is what happened in this scenario. You are a pregnant woman and you receive a knock at your door. And it is a person that says they work for the water department. So you waddle your pregnant butt to the door and you open it, only to realize the person standing at your door does not work for the water department. You very quickly try to slam the door closed, at which point a Ford with 5 other Black men pulls up into the front yard, one of which is George Floyd, and he jams his way into your home. And at this point, George Floyd takes a gun and points it to your stomach, threatening you. You are screaming and you are crying for your life. At this point, George Floyd puts you into your living room and instructs his friend who is with him to watch you, his armed friend, to make sure that you don't move from the living room as they ransack your home looking for drugs and money, of which they find neither, but they take your cell phone and some other personal objects of yours. Fortunately, a neighbor catches the plates of the car that pulls away, and 911 is able to track down George Floyd and arrest him. And 2 years later, in 2009, he is sentenced to 5 years in prison. This Black pregnant woman, wherever she is in the world, is now watching as the entire world puts the name of this person who did that to her and says justice for him and paints him out to be Martin Luther King, despite his extensively long a rap sheet. I'm inclined to believe, hey, look, he got out of prison in 2014. That's 5.5 years after he got out of prison. He could be a different man. I would be inclined to believe all of those things if the autopsy result didn't come back and prove that he was high that day on fentanyl and methamphetamines in his system. Okay, so spare me your bullshit. Spare me your bullshit. Spare me your bullshit about him being on the right track. Okay, you people that are on the right track do not do meth and fentanyl and drop baggies of drugs onto the ground. Now, again, this is completely separate from whether or not this cop had any right to restrict him in the way that he did on his neck. I don't believe he did, okay? But the idea that you're now going to tell me that my Blackness or my Black card is now associated to how hard I want to defend this person, a career criminal, right? And make him out to be the modern day Malcolm X, you've lost your mind. You've lost your mind. You've lost your mind. You really lost your mind. I'm tired of playing these games with Black America. All you have to do is sit down and do basic mathematics to discover that the entire narrative that we have been sold is a lie, okay? It's a lie. There is no racially targeted police brutality against Black Americans. In fact, if you are a white American and you commit a violent crime, you have a 25% higher chance of suffering a police fatality than Black people. The numbers you look at is how many police encounters Black people had versus how many police encounters white Americans had. And when you look at those numbers, you will realize that the only thing we're doing disproportionately in this country is committing crimes. Take 2018, for example, right? 13% of the population, Black Americans, accounted for 40% of all of the murders and something like 50% of all violent offenses in the country. That's not normal. We are having more encounters with police, and despite having more encounters with police, white Americans are the ones that are being killed at a higher rate. Okay, over 100,000 encounters with police, and with white Americans versus black Americans, you will discover that black Americans have less of a chance of having a fatal incident with police officers. Those are the facts, and I really don't care how those facts make you feel. I know it's so easy today being a black person to take the victim narrative, to believe that we're being brutalized by police officers, to believe that these 9 instances of police brutality that happen per annum are a really big deal, but we should shut up about the thousands of black Americans that are being killed by other black Americans, because it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter when we kill ourselves. It doesn't matter when we're on drugs. It doesn't matter when we're high. We want the police officers to hold our hands. And if, God forbid, something goes wrong in the midst of a police arrest, we want to riot and we want to burn down our own neighborhoods, because that makes so much sense, because that makes so much sense, because that makes so much sense. And we'll ally ourselves with the far left crazy Antifa thugs who know exactly what they're doing, who know exactly which group of Americans will be the most responsive and the most emotional. They get a couple of big celebrities to tell you Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, and put up a symbol while they're marching with you because they all think we're stupid. That's the truth. The left thinks we're dumb, okay? And we have to stop proving them right. We have to stop taking the bait. We have to stop accepting a foolish election time narrative that is going to disappear on November 3rd. It's going to be like it never happened. The gap between Philando Castile, who, by the way, was a real victim, who I used my platform to speak out about, right? The gap between Philando Castile and George Floyd is exactly 4 years.
As with any crisis where the well-being of the nation is involved, there's a real challenge to the president's leadership, and especially in the middle of an election year, and especially in the middle of an election year, and especially in the middle of an election year. How the president is seen to deal with crisis is probably magnified one way or the other, magnified one way or the other, magnified one way or the other. The president will speak to the nation tonight from the Oval Office.
Tonight, I want to talk to you about violence in our cities and justice for our citizens. What followed Wednesday's jury verdict in the Rodney King case was a tragic series of events for the city of Los Angeles. Nearly 4,000 fires, staggering property damage, hundreds of injuries, and the senseless deaths of over 30 people.
What do you think, guys? What do you think this is really about? All they care about is power. All they want to do is destroy your neighborhoods, burn them down, shut down your businesses, and get you on government dependence. At the same time, poo-pooing you and telling you they're going to fight the big boogeyman of racism that doesn't exist as a problematic thing in this country, okay? Are there racists? Of course. Of course there are racist guys. There's always going to be racists in this country. Do you want to know why? Because human beings are in this country. And there are black people that are racist towards whites. If you think I'm kidding, go look at some of the articles that are written on BuzzFeed. There are white people that hate white people. There are white people that hate themselves. There are black people that hate black people, right? I think the most racist things that have ever been said about me since I got into politics were said by other black people, not by white people, believe it or not, right? I'm tired of your stupid posts. I'm tired of your little black squares that are supposed to mean something. A bunch of celebrities that want to look empowered. They don't care about you. Are you stupid? Your neighborhoods are burning down, not theirs. We are just complete jokes to the left, right? Because the thing is that they do it every 4 years and we keep falling for it. It's like they're not even switching it up.
And especially in the middle of an election year.
They're not even switching it up. They're just ruining another generation of black Americans every 4 years. And you want to know what the result of these protests are? We just signed up for another 60 years of black poverty. And during those 60 years, you're going to have AOC and leftist politicians stump on the issues and claim it's because of systemic racism and not because they sent a bunch of white Antifa thugs to burn down the neighborhoods and to burn down the black businesses and to take all of these bricks to windows and businesses and force the business owners to leave. People that can afford to leave and leave these black communities depleted with no jobs. They're going to pretend it's because of white people, not because of their bricks and their riots and their protests, and because Black Lives Matter and a George Floyd. He's not my martyr. George Floyd is not my martyr. He can go be yours, okay? I liked Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant wasn't a career criminal, okay? He was a career basketball player. You want to go have a George Floyd be your martyr? Go have him be your martyr. Put a poster of George Floyd up on a t-shirt. Walk around, loop, be an idiot. But I want nothing to do with it. Okay? And to all you black conservatives who think that black conservatism is a trend, right? Oh, I'm a Trump supporter, but right? But I'm showing that I'm really black because I stand behind this stupid narrative, and I'm going to sit here and say that Black lives do matter because I'm trying to make people think that I'm in the middle. You're spineless. You're spineless and you're uneducated. Go pursue the numbers. If you want to really sound the platform of uplifting our community, cut the crap and tell them the truth. You don't need to be well liked. I'm not well liked. I don't care. I'm not here to be well liked. You want to know what my job is? My job is to be an alarm clock for Black America. There's nobody in the world that likes an alarm clock. But when it goes off, eventually you wake up. My job is to wake up Black America, okay? And the only way I can do it is by telling the truth. So thank you guys so much for listening.